Hey guys, the hardest thing I would say about Football Manager is when you lose games like the one that we just lost. So if you remember the game earlier on this morning, we played against a team that was at the bottom of the league table. We played better than them, and what happened? Well, we ended up losing the match. And the big question that you have is, well, how could we end up losing that match, right? That was totally ridiculous. We should have won. We have a better team. We know that. That's not even like a question. Let's go take a look and see if we can figure out exactly what happened here. So we'll go over back here to Football Manager View, first of all. And you can tell I've named my different views differently here in OBS. We'll go take a look here at this game, this road game in front of a whopping crowd of 495. I showed you this right after the last match. I mean, we dominated everything, dominated XG, dominated shots on target, had many more shots than them, had a lot more of the possession. We completed more passes. They won a few more tackles, okay, but we won more headers. We had better average rating. We had a lot more sprinting than they did. We dominated the match, and we really played the way that we should have played. Now, there were a couple of poor performances, right? Talked before about Yan Yiming, who was really not very impressive. The big problem, though, were these guys. Chen Shishun is definitely not ready, and Oh Wei is also not ready, right? Chen Shishun, I think he's 24 years old. If he's not ready now, he's never going to be ready, and that's why they're saying he might not have the required ability or potential. I'm tempted to just get rid of him now, but we're not going to do that right now. We're not going to be necessarily that intense. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to screen mode, because what's come up here next is we have this team selection advice by the assistant coach. I'm going to tell you that it's very tempting, especially after a match like this, to just do whatever they say and say, well, fine, we'll do it your way, right? Clearly, I don't know what I'm doing. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that at all. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use this baby. We're going to use this little thing that I came up with a list of the players who are best for the squad. This comes after doing research into the squad planner, which we looked at yesterday, and also after writing a couple of notes about each player and getting to know who I want to play where. Right, so we're going to do things in accordance with the squad planner. Now, we're lucky because we only have one match per week. We're not doing that 2 match per week stuff anymore. And we don't have any guys with like any real big injury problems. And so what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to just arrange things according to this, right? One of the problems that we had is we were playing this guy, Zhou Hongyi, who played 2 matches in a row and is not a very good player. Right, so we'll look here at his form. What has his form been like here for us? So he had a 7.2 in the first match against Taichung Futuro, which made me think, well, maybe this guy's not too bad. And then a 6.5 in that last one, right? So it's pretty poor. I mean, we're going to probably criticize that last game and tell him you weren't good enough, and he feels pleased that he wasn't good enough. He's not going to stay on for long. Now, we've gone through this before, right? The truth is that players like this might not have the required ability or potential. These are the players you should really be moving on, right? The difficulty here is that we like these guys who, again, don't have that bad inconsistency and who don't have that dislike of big matches up here and are not, very injury prone. So, you take some, like you win some, you lose some, right? There are going to be some things that you can get, some things you can't. Now, we want to have Wang Chunshen start. So Wang Chunshen is going to start over there for him. I don't really care what way these 3 line up. Whatever. It is what it is. Right? Wang Chunshen should have started the last match and didn't. I'm not sure why we didn't start him, but that's because I kind of went along with what the assistant manager recommended. Don't do that. Go over here onto the left side. We want Yan Yiming to be back out there again. Yan Yiming has actually played pretty well. And when we look over his form, it's been okay, except again for that last match wasn't so great, which is why he came off at halftime. Maybe we should have left him on, though. Menagong is going to play on the right side. See, we have Menagong written down here. And when we look at, I want to look at his form. We look over there, his form has been awesome, right? And that's what we want to see, right? This is a really good player who plays well every single match. That's the sort of player that we want to have. Now, defensive midfield, I think one of the problems is that we tried experimenting with Lin Guangde, which we really shouldn't have done. We like Chen Chengju, and we also want Xu Shengjie on there. The reason why we want these players is because, as I said before, I've already gone through and I've made these determinations, and I figured out who it is that I want to start and who I don't want to start, right? So where did you go, Xu Shengjie? There you are. We're going to put you in instead of Lin Guangde. Lingwanda had an okay match last time, but it wasn't spectacular, right? Let's take a look here and remind ourselves. 7.2 with the 1 assist. I mean, the assist was pretty nice, right? We like seeing him work, but if he's going to play, I want him to play over here in the AMC role. And see, we left Scylla on the bench, and that was, I think, our other major mistake. Scylla provides a lot that these other guys are not quite able to provide us. So we're going to start Scylla and Ndaye again. And then up in front, we can start Wen Chuhao again. I'm a little bit concerned about him because of his recent form, right? But he did have, he had that 10.0 rating in this match with the 3 goals, 7.7 and then a 7.0, and those are both after playing only a single half. So, maybe we should, be a little bit more lenient with him, a little bit more patient, and play him a little bit more in these matches. And that's really the way that you do it. That's the way that you look through this and you say, okay, well, how are we going to get this set up, and who are our key players going to be? Right. That's the important thing to keep in mind, is that when you're looking at, how you want to line up and how you want your players to play, you need to make sure that you're the one who's making these decisions, right? The computer will make some of the decisions for you, but you cannot always trust it. You can't always trust what it's going to say. Sometimes the computer is going to come up with some idea that's just absolutely ridiculous, and you need to know in advance that, this isn't going to work, and you shouldn't really listen to it. Now, I mentioned before that we do have a problem. We have a problem in that we have a lot of defenders who are not really playing that well, and really we shouldn't be giving a chance to. This is our under 18s team, and you can see that we have a whole bunch of guys who could come up as defenders, right? So we have Wang Boan, who is young prospect way off of first team level. He's ineligible. We should move him up because he's too old to play there. Some of these guys. So Zhao Mingxiu, I don't think that we've played yet. Surplus to requirements. So this is one that we probably should just go ahead and get rid of. Li Han is another player who I brought on. He's really upset with me because I didn't put him directly on the first team. We're going to hold on to him for a little while because I think that as he calms himself down, maybe something good will come of him, or maybe not. Maybe we should just release him, right? There's a bunch of these other guys that we can look into as well, right? We don't necessarily have to go out and hire other guys when we have young players like Li Wencheng, who theoretically could come up and could make some progress in the first team. The next guy, Chen Chengcong, is another one who could do so. This guy, Chen Pohao, is another one who could probably do so, right? This is the other thing you're looking for. Young prospect way off of first team level. Maybe he has the potential to do it, maybe not. The thing is that you're more likely to have that potential to maybe be something good when you're young. When you are like 25, 26, 27, you're probably not going to have that potential anymore, right? And so this is the thing that we're looking for. This is what the future is. In theory, if the transfer window were open, then we would right now start releasing players who we can tell are not going to make it and just pull these young guys up. The reality, though, unfortunately, is that we can't quite do that, right? So when we go over here to squad registration, it's not going to let us register anybody. It opens August 29th. It is, May 8th. So we have quite some time remaining before we can get back into this. We're going to end up playing once and then twice, so 2 rounds throughout the league. And then right here, when we have this match again against Athletic Club Taipei, that is the day that we'll be able to open it up. And then we'll be able to go back and take a whole bunch of those players up and put them up in the first team squad, and we'll be able to get rid of players who don't play that well. Hopefully around this time, we're going to be in first place, right? And then it'll just be a question of making sure that we have the right personnel in there and we get rid of some of the guys who are not that great. Again, in that match that we just played, we played very, very well. Let me see if I can find any of the other statistics that I saw at the end of it. Analytical data is what we want. Yeah, so you can see our XG was like way far and above theirs. If we look into passes, this isn't going to help. What I need is the stuff that comes straight from the analysts. And I think that the way to find that is actually to go back here to the data hub. There we go. And now we can look at the last match. And when you look at this, we had great match momentum for the entire match, except they dominated the very end of it. Our XG performance, again, was superb. We completed 485 passes, which is what we wanted to do. We're holding on to the ball. That's what we want to see. They completed only 273, so we're not letting them have a whole lot of the ball. And the problem that we had is we have too many long-range shots, as usual, right? And this is mostly from those players who I just talked about, who I said we're probably not going to want to start these guys in the next match. They're not ready. They're clearly not all the way there, right? So we played well. That's the thing. We played well in the match. We just didn't have quite the quality that we wanted, and we have this major problem in defense. This is the way that you go through and you sort of figure out what's going on, what do we need to work on, what don't we need to work on, how are we doing. You can see here that our expected points is one less than what we expect. Expected goal allowed, actually, we've done a little bit worse than expected, and our XG is right about where it should be. So there you have it. I think that, it's very, very early still in the season. We've only played 3 matches, and we should walk over most teams in attack. We do need to improve at the back, and I think that we do have that improvement, as I said, here in the under-18s. You can't look in the development center. It's going to tell me that nobody's ready to move up quite yet. Sort of true, sort of not true. I mean, the computer has a hard time gauging these guys who are kind of like middle of the road, neither here nor there type players, right? Like, say, this guy, Lu Qingxiang. I mean, I don't know. He's exciting, right? But what do we know about him? We know that he's 16, and we know that he can play on that right side. So maybe he ends up playing up with Menagong. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, do we even have him training to play up there? We do. Yeah, have him trained to be a wing back. So, you can look through, you can play with it. You can take your time and look at a whole bunch of guys and say, well, maybe this guy will work. Maybe that guy will work. This guy that we hired, we got this guy from Taichung Futuro, is another one who might be good. Might be a good one to have play over there in the back. My question is, how tall is he? Down here, 180 centimeters, not really the tallest in the world, and also unambitious, but we could use him. He's going to work better in the back than, who do we have here playing in the back, right? Like Wu Mengchi. What we should do is, as soon as the transfer window opens, we should get rid of this guy. What's he worth? Nothing. And we should pull the other guy up, or this guy, Chen Shiming, shouldn't be playing any matches for us, right? He might like big matches. It doesn't matter. He's not very good, right? That's sort of what the attitude is and what the plan is. But we're not going to do what the assistant tells us here, because we're not going to have Li Mao playing up front, not if he's surplus to requirements, right? We'll keep him on the squad, but he needs to know he's not going to play any games, right? If he gets upset because he's not starting any games, guess what? He can go get upset. I don't really care, right? He can go focus on being a scout, because I'm not going to start him up front. We have better players to start up front. Anyway, that's what you got to do. It takes time. Once you figure out what your team is capable of and what you're able to do, then you can get it set up right, and then you can know who your players are. Then it becomes a lot more fun. You'll still occasionally lose matches like that one, though, and that was kind of a rough loss, because really we should have won, and kind of stings a little bit, but so it is. 21 matches to the season. You can lose 1 or 2. It's all right. There you have it. I'll talk with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.